Hi, I'm Liz. Thank you for joining me. This is the third installment of a series of Yin Yoga practices focusing on the 5 elements from Chinese medicine theory. So there is a video before the previous ones that I've done, just explaining a little bit about the elements, how they relate to Yin Yoga, and then also a little bit about the meridian lines that we are targeting throughout the practices. So we have gone through the fire element and the earth element, and then today we're going to be going through the wood element. So the wood element relates to our liver and our gallbladder meridian lines. So we're going to be doing a lot of work through the inner part of the leg and then down the lateral aspect of the body. So think like the sides of your body. So we're going to map out the liver and the gallbladder meridian lines first, and then we'll make our way through the practice. I will be referring to a book, Power of the 5 Elements. Now, I don't usually do this when I teach, and I've been explaining this with the other practices, but this is the first one that you've done. I am going to be reading from the book throughout the class. So again, not something that I would usually do, but I really, really love this book, and I can't really explain things better than the way that this man writes in this book. So Power of the 5 Elements by Charles A. Moss. It is a fantastic book. I'm absolutely loving reading it and just diving deep down into it. And then also The Complete Guide to Yin Yoga by Bernie Clark, a great book as well, especially if you're a teacher. Just takes you through all the shapes, maps out all the meridian lines, and then really goes deep into the Yin Yoga practice and why we are doing it. So to begin with, just make sure you've got some comfortable clothes on, make sure you've got some space. Yoga blocks, if you need them or you want them, grab them, or something that you could use. Some big books are great to use if you don't have yoga blocks. And then a bolster, cushions or pillows, or blankets as well are great if you don't have any of the actual yoga stuff. It's not necessary. So we begin sitting up nice and tall. And just take a little moment, settling into the space, thanking yourself for making the time to be here, giving yourself this time. Letting the shoulders relax, relaxing the muscles of the face. So the jaw, the tongue, muscles around the eyes. Starting to breathe nice and smoothly. You may do a few breaths in through the nose and out of the mouth. And then when you're ready, it's connecting into that nostril breathing. So we're going to do a couple of rounds of box breathing. So we're doing a 5 count inhale, 5 count hold, 5 count exhale, 5 count hold. We're just going to do 5 rounds of that. If you find that's a little bit too much for your system, you feel like it might kind of bring up a little bit of anxiety, just breathing at your own natural rhythm. Ultimately though, fantastic just for slowing your breathing down, bringing in that relaxation response to the body. And the slower we can breathe, the kind of more we're going to be able to relax the mind and the body. So ultimately we want about 6 breaths per minute, and we want to be breathing from the belly, from the chest, not up in the shoulders and the neck, which a lot of us are breathing like that. We're breathing very shallow and breathing way too much as well. And that literally brings stress into your system. So again, just sitting up nice and tall, take a clearing breath to begin, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. In, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. Last round, in, hold, out, hold. Coming back into your natural rhythm of breath. And you might want to do just a little bit of movement, maybe roll the shoulders. You might want to move the legs, give them a little bit of a shake out. So I'm going to map out now the liver and the gallbladder channel. If you feel like you want to lay down for this, please do. Otherwise, again, just finding a comfortable seat. If you are going to lay down, just making sure you're staying awake and aware, so you're not dozing off, falling asleep. And just remembering, just going to be reading these. Don't get too caught up in remembering exactly where they go, and you may want to kind of map out that line in the body. But if you can't remember where it goes, or you can't kind of get that visualization happening, don't stress. Just listening, just that intention of it being there is enough. So closing the eyes down if that feels comfortable. So starting with the liver meridian. The liver meridian begins at the inside of the nail of the big toe and runs along the top of the foot. It climbs the front of the ankle and then runs up the inside of the leg until it reaches the pubic area. From here, it curves around the external genitalia and goes into the lower abdomen, where it enters the liver and gallbladder. Rising higher, it branches in several directions, with one branch connecting to the lung meridian. Rising still higher, it follows the throat and connects with the eyes before branching again. One branch reaches down across the cheeks and circles the lips, while a higher one crosses the forehead to the crown, where it links with the governor vessel meridian. So lower back pain, abdominal pain, or mental disturbances may be a sign of disharmony of the liver. Frequent or unreasonable anger or irritation may also be a sign of dysfunction here. So it's not to say that if you ever experience anger or irritation or agitation that you have some kind of liver disturbance, but if it's constant, if it's kind of becoming like who you are, you're always reacting to things, may be a sign of some liver disharmony. So just going through that again. The liver meridian begins at the inside of the nail of the big toe and runs along the top of the foot. It climbs the front of the ankle and then runs up the inside of the leg until it reaches the pubic area. From here, it curves around the external genitalia and goes into the lower abdomen, where it enters the liver and gallbladder. So the liver is on the right side of your body, just below or under the rib cage. Rising higher, it branches in several directions, with one branch connecting to the lung meridian. Rising still higher, it follows the throat and connects with the eyes before branching again. One branch reaches down across the cheeks and circles the lips, while a higher one crosses the forehead to the crown, where it links with the governor vessel meridian. So the governor vessel meridian is known as an extra meridian. Take a breath in, breath out. And we'll move on now to the Gallbladder meridian. This is my favorite meridian line. I don't know why. I think I just like the way it runs down the side of the body. The Gallbladder meridian begins at the outer corner of the eye and immediately branches into two lines. A main branch remains on the surface and winds back and forth across the side of the head and above the ear before turning downward along the side of the neck. After following the top of the shoulder, it passes under the arm and zigzags along the side of the ribs to the hips. The other branch goes into the cheek and descends to the liver and gallbladder. From there, it descends farther and rejoins the first branch at the front of the hip. The single line then descends, running along the outside thigh and knee until it reaches the ankle. It runs across the top of the foot until it reaches the fourth toe. Another branch leaves at the ankle to run across the top of the foot and join the liver meridian at the big toe. Headaches, blurred vision, and pains along the side of the body, including the eyes, ears, and throat, may be an indication of problems with the gallbladder meridian. The gallbladder meridian begins at the outer corner of the eye and immediately branches into two lines. A main branch remains on the surface and winds back and forth across the side of the head and above the ear before turning downward along the side of the neck. After following the top of the shoulder, it passes under the arm and zigzags along the side of the ribs to the hips. The other branch goes inside the cheek and descends to the liver and gallbladder. From there, it descends farther and rejoins the first branch at the front of the hips. The single line then descends, running along the outside thigh and knee until it reaches the ankle. It runs across the top of the foot until it reaches the fourth toe. Another branch leaves at the ankle to run across the top of the foot and join the liver meridian at the big toe. So I'm just taking a little moment there, not getting too caught up in having to remember exactly where it begins and where it goes. So just thinking that liver meridian coming up the body, the inside of our thigh, into our abdomen, and our gallbladder channel starting at the top of the body, running down the sides of the body. So down the side of the rib cage, down the side of the thigh. Take a breath in, breath out. This is another thing I find fascinating. You know, we often get pains in the body or muscular pain and joint pain, and we think, you know, what's going on in that area of the body, and quite often it's not that area of the body. So it can be something related to something totally different. It's just the wondrous workings of our bodies. So I'm going to come down into our first shape. So we're going to do butterfly. So you may need to sit on a cushion or a blanket, just coming down onto your butt. You might need to move some flesh away from your sit bones, bringing the feet out in front, the feet joined together, knees come out to the side. If you need support underneath each knee, that can just sort of bring some tension out of the legs. If they're super, super tight, they may be up here even like that. So just kind of let the body go where it naturally wants to go. And an option here, so you can kind of have the legs further out in front. That would be our traditional Yin Yoga butterfly shape, and we would fold forward. you can bring them a little bit closer in, and that's going to get a little bit more into that inner thigh area that we are working through today. So just kind of play with it a little bit. So we do spend the time, so there's no rush. And then the option is to fold forward. So if you're going to do that, breathing in, lengthening through the spine, breathing out, fold the upper body forward. If you need a block or a book or something to rest the head on, you can do that. Or you can let the upper body just hang. And firstly, coming into your breath. So the main thing with our Yin Yoga shapes is that we can breathe smoothly. We're not compromising the breath to get into a position. We use the breath and let the breath guide us where we need to go. So the wood adaptation type, known as the visionary. The adaptive abilities of the wood type are represented by the archetypes of the visionary and the warrior. When adapted, wood types derive tremendous vitality through maintaining a vision of where they want to get to in the future and how they can make it happen. Wood types are often the people who, after working in a corporate setting, strike out on their own, confident of the plan they create to succeed by themselves. With this independence comes what they want more than anything else, a chance to control their own future. Just breathing nice and smoothly, just allowing yourself just to experience the shape, experience the sensations. And that is the simplicity of our Yin Yoga practice. Allowing yourself to feel what's happening in your body. Not having to get anywhere or do anything or achieve anything. Just allowing the body just to go where it needs to go on that day. It'll change from day to day and week to week. Take 3 more breaths. So using that breath, breathing in nice and smoothly. And as you're letting the breath go, you may get a little deeper into the shape, not forcing it, just letting it happen naturally. Once you've taken those 3 breaths, using the next inhale, if you are folded forward, just gently pressing yourself back up. So between shapes, there's always free movement or stillness, whatever your body needs to do. Can be nice if you were folded forward to reverse that curve through the spine, rolling the shoulders back. Can feel nice just to add a little bit of movement through the legs, maybe some windshield wipers from side to side. You might want to shake the legs out. So I know personally I'm drawn to the liver and the gallbladder shapes when I do my own practices. That might be trying to tell me something there. Our next shape is going to be straddle. I always get mixed up with those two. Okay, so straddle, again, sitting onto your buttocks. Now it can be nice, and I've said this before, but bringing something underneath. I'm just going to use the book as an example here, but a folded up blanket is awesome to do this. So sitting on that, and that just allows the pelvis to then roll into a bit more of a neutral position. So then you've got that space where you can maybe fold it forward if you need to, and then you're not collapsing down into the lower back area like that. So we're not getting that roll through. We can lengthen up through the spine. So if you do need to do that, I definitely recommend it. Bringing the legs out wide, or just as far as feels okay for you. And just take a little moment, just point the toes, and then bring them back up, and then let the legs relax as much as you can. You may need to bend your knees a lot, and that's okay. You may need some support underneath the knees as well. So if you find you're here and you're like shaking, don't kind of try and force that, just bring something to you. It'll be a lot more pleasant for you. So legs are out just as wide as feels okay. If you're feeling something happening through that inner thigh area, you're exactly where you need to be. You can start to intensify that a little bit more by folding the upper body forward. So with our Yin Yoga practice, it's not about going as far as you can straight away. You want to work into the resistance or work into the tension. So as soon as you feel that first little bit of tension, allow yourself to stay, and then it's the breath that we use to guide us further. And as always, coming into the breath first. And then just see if you can start to pay attention to where you feel this in the body. So it might be through that inner thigh area. You may feel it maybe around the outside of your hips as well. So just depending on what is happening in your body will depend on where you feel this. And then how strong the sensations are. The visionary is creative, seeing new ways to accomplish goals, reworking that which is no longer useful, and always ready to strike out in new directions as required. Though open to new ideas and trends, visionaries look for ways to do things in their own style. Recognizing possibilities that others might not have seen, they can create new markets and ideas. Because to cooperate well, they need a free environment. Many opt to run their own business or work independently. A pioneering spirit is also part of the well-adapted wood type's inner drive. Wood types, like John Wayne singing "Don't Fence Me In," see independence and freedom as critical for following their goals. Wood types have a strong sense of what works and how to move around obstacles that gives them the creative power to build a web of contingencies and alternative plans. This helps keep them from getting too frustrated or discouraged when inevitable failures occur. They carry a sense of optimism and the hopes and visions of a future waiting to be realized. That these are the powers of the visionary. Just using this time here, you may find that you can get a little bit deeper into the shape. You may find as you spend the time, the sensations, they may get more intense, they may get a little more subtle. You're just acknowledging it and just working with it. Take 3 more breaths. And using that next inhale, slowly press yourself back up. And again, just taking whatever movement or stillness you feel you need. And just staying connected into the breath, keeping that focus on the body, on the breath. Trying not to get distracted by whatever might be happening around you. You might be hearing people in your house or things outside. Come over onto your hands and knees, and we're going to make our way into sleeping swan, or as some of my yoga students have called it before, dying swan. And then just depending, like some days this feels amazing, other days it's just like, get me the hell out of here. So from the hands and knees, bring the wrists underneath the shoulders. You're going to start with your right leg forward. I'll give you different options as well if you need it. So right knee is going to come up behind the right wrist, just flexing through the right foot. And I'm going to have to go this way because my leg is going to go through the wall otherwise, and that would not be good. And then the full kind of version of this is to take the left leg back. You just want to make sure you're not actually on the knee joint. So lift up and then just shift it back a little bit so you're lying on the actual thigh. Hips want to be as square as you can get them to the floor. You may need some kind of support underneath the right hip, just to kind of allow that to be a bit more supported. You can stay up like this. You want to relax the lower body as much as you can, or you can come down into the sleeping or dying swan-like position. Maybe here, you might be all the way down. Another option is to come into, I think they call it deer. So the knee will be out in front, and then you bring the other leg up and around, and you can fold forward from there, or you can fold over the right thigh. And then on the back, coming down, right ankle across the knee, and then lifting the legs up, reaching through that little triangle you've created, either grabbing behind or in front of the knee, and creating a little bit of tension here through that outer hip. So pulling the knee in, and then you can use the right elbow to press the right knee away. So hopefully that makes sense. So we are targeting here both the liver and the gallbladder channel. So remembering that it comes up that inner thigh. So we're closing it over. We're getting a little bit of compression through it. We're getting a lengthening through the front of the pelvis here. So it does run up through that pubic area, coming up into the abdominals, and then out the outside of our right hip. The gallbladder channel comes down there. So I think this is possibly why it can be quite intense sometimes. Think of our liver, it has to deal with everything that comes into our system. And it's not just, what we're eating, what we're putting on our body, what we're drinking. It's what we are consuming as well, the people we spend our time with. We have to process that through our system. And that can either work for us or against us. Take that time, find the best position for you. Don't feel like you've kind of got to gung-ho it and muscle through it. Allow the body to go where it needs to go. Wood types are often upset by injustice, either in their own life or in society as a whole. They can be overly sensitive, feeling wronged even if little has transpired. Resentment, frustration, and anger often accompany these real or perceived slights and wrongs. However, the other aspect of the archetype for the wood, the warrior, leads the wood type away from these maladapted states and into championing just causes and taking action, regaining a sense of control over an unpredictable and potentially hostile world. The warrior sets out to right what is wrong and to make changes that open the way toward the distant goal or hope for the future. Forgiveness and patience, the virtues associated with the wood type, come from the vision and insight of the wood energy. These virtues can neutralize frustration, anger, impatience, and hostility, the toxic emotions and actions of the poorly adapted wood type, and recreate a path back to adaptation. Vision brings control through seeing how to make changes and adjustments and how to create new plans and realistic goals. The single biggest drive for the wood type is to feel a sense of control over life. Most of the maladapted behaviours and emotions reflect a loss of control. The visionary seeing what is visible and possible is a path back to adaptations. So staying focused on your breath. So you might be listening to this going, oh my God, I know someone like this, or I can really kind of relate to this. What I love about this kind of system that the Chinese use, a lot of the things that we feel or go through in life, we create a lot of that in our mind. And so we can make that work for us, and we choose how we perceive what is happening. We can either get stressed out, we can get angry. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's necessary. All natural emotions of the human experience. But if we start to let that take over and control us, and we start to find ourselves in a not so happy or good situation. Take 3 more breaths. And then And slowly pressing yourself back up. Take your time here coming out. Just take whatever movement you need. It can be nice for a downward facing dog. You might need just a plank for a moment. Child's pose. Maybe a couple of cat-cow. Good news or bad news, however you want to look at it, we are going to do the other side. So just knowing that it might feel different, you might have to do a totally different positions depending on what's happening in your knees or your hips. We never want to go into pain or to the point where we think there's something not right here in the joint, or it might feel like it's like a real burning sensation. We can really like pinpoint the spot. Don't go into that. We're more looking for like a big kind of release or kind of stretching sensations through different areas of the body. We're not looking to really get into the joints, although we will affect the joints by the shapes. So again, just find the position that works best for you on the opposite side. You may need that support. You may need to come onto your back. And just using that breath. A lot of people kind of think yin yoga is really relaxing, which, you know, kind of is in a way, but it's quite challenging to hold these shapes. You need a bit of the yang energy to come in and kind of get you through it. Kind of use that, you know, we're not here forever. This will come to an end. Knowing that we need to go through a little bit of stress to get stronger and more resilient. The warrior, who is also a pioneer archetype, is based on the expansive energy of the wood element, which is associated with the birth of yang energy in the spring. The gallbladder and liver are associated with the muscular system, tendons and ligaments that are needed for movement and activity. The meridian of the gallbladder controls the lateral aspect of the body, setting its boundaries in space. Healthy wood types are strongly muscled, coordinated, and physically well organized, and not easily swayed by the winds of change, standing their ground for what is right and just. The deeper energetic basis for the visionary and warrior of the wood element is the Taoist spirit quality, the Hun, translated as the ethereal or heavenly soul. The Hun represents the ability to dream, see the future, elevate above restrictions, and clarify goals. The Hun's correspondence to a person's unfettered higher vision is heavenly. It is also considered the part of the person that ascends to heaven upon death. Taoists perceive heaven as formless energy. As you're in the shape, just doing a little scan through your body. See if you can relax a little bit more. You might need to relax the muscles around the hips and direct the breath to wherever you feel it needs to go. It might be the shoulders, you might be gripping with your fingers onto the ground. Take 3 more breaths. And slowly using that next inhale, pressing yourself back up. Slowly making your way out of the shape. Take a little stretch, or maybe just laying down even on the belly. And when you're ready, coming over onto your back. So we're going to go through 2 more shapes, one on each side. I love this one. It's going to be banana asana. I just like saying the word. So coming over onto your backs. Now to kind of get into the shape, start laying flat. And then you can bend your knees here, bring the feet to the floor, and just gently lift the hips up. Take your hips to the right side of your mat or just whatever you're laying on. And then lengthen the legs back out and start to take the legs to the left. And just make sure both sit bones stay on the ground, so you're not kind of moving it so far that one hip lifts off the floor. And then the torso is going to also come to the left. So kind of think like a banana shaped bar. I don't know if I'll stand up and do it. I don't know if you can actually see me here, but hips to the right and then torso and legs are going to come to the left. So you're creating a banana-like shape in the body. It might be a really bendy banana. Maybe it's a not so bendy banana. Just remembering to work with your body. A couple of different options here. Your feet can stay hip width apart, or you can cross one foot over the other, and it doesn't matter which one, just whichever one feels best for you. You can explore that and just experiment with that. Arms can also come up overhead. If you get any kind of tingling sensations in the hands or the fingers, either elevating the hands onto something or bringing them back down by your side. So nice big opening here through the right side of the body. Remembering the gallbladder channel or the gallbladder line comes down, it zigzags down the rib cage. I think that's my favorite part. Down into the hip, down the outside of the thigh. And then we're also closing the gap on the left side. So getting this compression on the left side gallbladder channel. And so when we open that back up, we're going to get a big rush of fresh energy to that area, and then also down this right side. You can focus the breath into the right side of the rib cage, really feeling that kind of opening as you breathe in. And then letting it go as you breathe out. The Hun is the root of renewal and rebirth from moment to moment and day to day, creating hope for a better tomorrow. The Hun brings a high level of energy and creativity, action for change, boldness, and focus on goals. It brings the confidence that enables one to strike out in new directions with a clear vision of the future and the scrappiness to fight to manifest one's desire. When strong, the Hun leads to a drive to move outward, reach new heights, conquer new worlds, and set new goals, to calmly making good decisions and effective plans leading to control of personal destiny. This strength underlies the well-adapted wood type who is purposeful and goal-orientated, seeking action, change, and new challenges. Wood adaptation types get restless and bored without some change in their lives. Through the faculty of the Hun, the wood type adapts to difficult situations by creatively seeing solutions and putting alternative plans into action. experiencing the shape, experiencing the sensations. Take 3 more breaths. And then slowly, if the arms are overhead, bring them back down by your side. Uncross the feet if they are crossed. And just make your way back into the center. You might hug the knees in towards your chest, or might feel nice to bring the feet wide. Bring the knees in together, a bit of a giraffe or baby giraffe shape. Ultimately, just doing whatever you need to do. Again, good news or bad news, we will do the other side. Otherwise, we'll be walking around in circles all day. So making your way now into the other side, hips are going to gently move across to the left side. Lengthen the legs out, bring them to the right, and then start to shift the torso to the right as well. And remembering it might feel quite different from side to side. You might be a bit more open on one side. We tend to be all a little bit asymmetrical. We're not completely symmetrical, or I have never really met anyone that is. So we're all going to have a few little discrepancies from side to side. One side's going to work probably a little bit better, feel a little bit better. And we want to aim for as much balance as we can. I'm not quite sure if it's possible. It's not really a bad thing, I don't think. Taking that time, finding that position, breathing now into the left side of your rib cage. I'm going to go through now some healthy wood adaptation type qualities. Makes clear and healthy decisions. Has a good sense of direction in life, finds hope and renewal, can create and achieve goals, is even-tempered, able to express anger and other emotions appropriately, is conscientious, committed and reliable, can deal with change effectively and roll with the punches, can generate enthusiasm in others, takes risks, initiates projects and creativity and vision, is well organised and efficient, can make changes in a dramatic fashion, can be intense, expansive, driven and unyielding, has consistently high energy level, is well muscled, supple and coordinated, can have problems with medications, alcohol and stimulants. Not quite sure how that's the healthy part, but so just make little adjustments if you feel the need to. Take 3 more breaths. Just really feeling into that body, into the body, moving as you breathe in, that expansion, and that gentle contraction as you breathe out. Slowly making your way out of the shape, taking any last little movements or stretches or yawns, setting yourself up now for your final resting position. So I'm going to come up to a seated position, but our resting position, generally laying down. If you need some support underneath your knees, bringing a cushion or a bolster underneath. Seated position is always welcome as well if you feel more comfortable that way. So this is just a bit of a list of things that a wood archetype can do to bring themselves into, or bring themselves back into a bit more balance. If you're feeling like maybe there's some kind of like stagnation in your system, you may be experiencing lots of anger and agitation. So things that you can do, and just things that anyone can do. So we all have these energetic archetypes within us, but we are more kind of drawn to have one that is a bit more dominant. So I think this is just, stuff that everyone can do to bring a little bit more calm and balance into your body and into your life. So getting yourself comfortable. The keys for adaptation for the wood type. Emphasize that which you can control. Be good to your liver. Flexibility is a goal for both mind and body. Hostility will kill you. Let it go. Practice forgiveness. Look at the big picture. There are no wrong decisions. Patience is a virtue. Manage your anger and express feelings in a healthy manner. Keep it simple. Just letting all of that go now. Just allowing the body to rest down into the ground or whatever you are laying on. Feel free to spend as much time as you need here. Feel like you'd like to stay, please do. Otherwise, take a breath in, breath out. Start to add some movement into the body, the fingers, the toes. You might stretch and yawn. Just let that happen. And then when you're ready, just making your way back to a seated position. Keeping the eyes either closed or coming into a soft gaze. Take a moment to thank yourself for making the time to be here. I hope you enjoyed that little deep dive or not really a deep dive, it's probably just touching the surface of our wood archetype, the liver, the gallbladder channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you for the next installment. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time. Thanks, Aria.